And I'm going to share my screen and start the slideshow. Okay, everybody, good evening and welcome to the Global Blockchain, Cryptocurrency and Trading Meetup community. Tonight is hosted by myself, DC and Simon. We ask you not to record because we are already recording, and we will share the recording on YouTube later on. For those that are new, and I've seen there was plenty of new names in the group this evening, so welcome to all the new people. We do have a private Telegram group. To get into the Telegram group, you need to attend one of the meetups, and all you have to do is send either myself or David a message here in the chat using Zoom with your mobile number or your Telegram name, and we'll add you to the group. There's also a feedbacks form that will become available from meetups.com after the meetup. We'd appreciate if you could give some feedback so other people can find the meetup. And this is not financial advice. On to the next slide. So in our meeting tonight, our code of conduct, we ask everybody to be aware of others, be friendly and patient, be welcoming and respectful, be open to all questions and viewpoints, be understanding of differences, and be kind and considerate to others. So just some upcoming meetings next week, the 9th of July, we're going to do something really interactive and a little bit of fun. And we're going to we'll be here on Zoom on the meetup, but we're going to use an interactive tool while we're doing it. So we're going to hold a interactive crypto and blockchain Q&A night. So that is next Friday night. And then tonight we have some tips and tricks on Etherscan from our own Simon. So that is it for tonight. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Also, after the presentation by Simon, we will have our coin of the month contest. We're going to have the results of the coin of the month contest. We'll be awarding the prizes. And I'll also tell you what you have to do to get involved in the next contest. Hi, Viviana. I seen you coming in there. And a few other people came in. Hello, as well. Guys. iPhone, whatever your real name is, iPhone. Welcome to the meetup. So tonight we're going to talk about, Simon is going to show us around Etherscan. And Etherscan is a tool that anybody that's using the ETH blockchain should really get themselves a little bit familiar with. So based on that, I'm just going to pass you straight over to Simon. You good, Simon?
All good. Could you give me host capability? So I can't share.
Simon, I can indeed. Sorry.
Lovely. So fingers crossed.
You should be able to share now.
There we go. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep, all good.
Good stuff. Okay, so yeah, what we're going to talk about tonight is Etherscan. But I thought before we do that, we'll have a look at CoinGecko if people aren't familiar with it. So CoinGecko is it just tracks crypto prices by market caps. It says on there, and all of the general cryptos you'll have heard of, you'll be able to find in the CoinGecko listing. I won't go into too much detail, but you can see on here there are loads and loads of tools in CoinGecko. But when we start looking around Etherscan, we'll come back to it and I'll show you part of the reason why this is a useful thing to have. The other thing that might be quite useful is it does have a portfolio tracker. So if you're like me and you've got different cryptos dotted around in different wallets, you can actually put in here all of the different cryptos you've got and track them in one place. So it's really, really useful. You can also switch on to dark mode, which is a little bit nicer on the eyes. Right, so moving on. So as Paula said, Etherscan is a blockchain explorer for the Ethereum network. It's etherscan.io. And what we've gone to here is we've just gone to the landing page for it. So what I'll do, I'll talk you around it because it does look a little bit intimidating to start with. But there's quite a few different hints and tips that you can... Sorry about that. My watch talking to me. Quite a few different hints and tips you can get just to make it a little bit more user friendly for you. So just to start off with it, it'll always open on the Ethereum page. So what you've got on here are a number of really useful bits of data. So you've got the current price of Ethereum, and you can go back, and I'll click into it actually, and you can see the historical price of Ethereum as well. So you can see when it hit that peak last month, the all-time high, if I can get to it. So May the 11th, $4,181. And you can see what a meteoric rise it's had over the past few years, and in particular since January. So click back one. Next thing you can see is the number of transactions, and this is fascinating because this is saying that on the Ethereum network, there have been just under 1.2 billion transactions, which is absolutely phenomenal amount of transactions. And it just shows how much things like DeFi and using crypto has really picked up. You've got the median gas price, which we'll come back to in a second. You've got the transaction history on the right. So this is just your past 14 days. And what it will give you for each particular day is how much Ethereum was, a number of transactions that were carried out. And if you do click into it, you can actually see all of those transactions. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know, but it's an option. So the next thing you've got down here is the hash rate of the network for the last 12 hours. So this is the amount of computing power that miners put into the network to try and mine blocks. So it keeps the network secure, and it also is where you'd have your blocks mined in order to make your transactions go through. And the difficulty, that really just tells you how difficult it is to mine a block. Now I won't go into the ins and outs of it, but you can Google it to get the detail. But you can see that it tends to be as the price spikes, more people are mining, it becomes more difficult, and the rewards are a lot higher based on the price of it. So going back, so what we will look at is the median gas price, hopefully. Okay, my laptop is thinking about it. Let me just refresh that and see if I can get into it any quicker. Okay, I think my Etherscan page is frozen actually. Is everyone else getting that? It's not moving off the page, is it?
We can see the page, but yeah, the page isn't, yeah, it's not refreshing.
Ah, right, okay. I'm hoping that's not a problem with Etherscan, actually. Let me open another tab and see if I can do it. Okay. Can anyone else get into Etherscan? Because I'm not able to get into it.
Check now.
Yeah, no problem in Iraq.
Yeah, there's no problem in Dublin either.
Ah, right. Okay, that's interesting.
I'm on a dial-up.
Okay, well, that's going to make it a little bit more tricky.
Well, what I can do is, Simon, I can share my screen and I should be able to give you controls of my screen.
Yeah, let me give it one. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can give it one more go. Yeah, that has frozen it. Ah, right, here we go. Okay, so if I go into the gas price again. So what you've got on here is a number of pieces of data about the gas price. So you've got the current average gas price in GUI. So you can see for low, average and high gas prices for transactions, that's how it works out. You've also got on the right-hand side, for the last 1,000 blocks, the confirmation time of a transaction by the gas price that people have paid. Now, the gas prices, if anyone's done any transactions over the last few months, the gas prices at the moment are incredibly low. So if I look at where it says a Uniswap swap down here, so this is saying a Uniswap swap, if you do it as a fast transaction, that would cost you $5.45. if you think back to about a month and a half ago, did anyone do a Uniswap swap around then? And if so, what was the gas fee?
Yeah. There was gas fees of $200 on some swaps.
It's been ridiculously high. I mean, so some of the swaps I did were kind of up to about $80. So unless you're doing big ticket transactions, it's really not worth doing. But what you've got on there is, so you've got the actual price of the GUI. You've actually got, for different types of transactions, how much that would cost as well. And there is a formula with this as well. So I think I might have actually put it on a little presentation that I can show you. Might make it quite useful. So with the transactions, you've got different transaction types which are more complex. So what I've put on the right there is a normal transfer from one wallet to another would have a gas limit of 21,000 at a price of 19 GUI. Now, ignore the GUI price, it's the gas limit that's the important bit. So if you're doing a Uniswap or interacting with the smart contracts, that would be a more complex transaction, would be more expensive. Now, where I've pulled these from is if you use MetaMask, it will normally come up with a standard fee for you to use. And there's an option to click in on advanced and actually edit your own gas fee. And that allows you to play around with your gas fees. Now, the interesting thing with this is, if you look at the cost of a gas fee, you can see that the overall cost of a GUI is made up of 1 billion WI. There's various different measurements in there. All of them have got a nickname as well, which I'll come on to in a second. But when you're calculating, if you look on the right, if I put a calculator up, you can actually calculate it. So you multiply the gas price by the gas limit, and that would give you the overall transaction. Obviously, there's decimals involved in this, but if you look, that will match just about down there with all the zeros in front of it. And it'll be the same with the other ones. So if we clear that, take 17 GUI, a more complex transaction would need a gas limit of that, and you can see 3143, and that matches the transaction fee down there. So I'll pull that out of the way. So I did say about the nicknames for this. Does anyone know what these nicknames represent?
Nope.
Go on, mate.
Does anyone recognise any of the names on there? Probably the last one you'll recognise.
Yeah.
Babbage, Charles Babbage.
Yep, spot on. So, and
Linda Lovelace. Oh, that's a different one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Yep.
Nick says well.
It's Ada Lovelace though. Linda Lovelace is yeah.
I know.
Not involved in computing. But yeah, they are all people that have been significant in terms of computing. So you've got Nick, I forget how it's pronounced, Szabo. You've got Hal Finney, Vitalik Buterin, Ada Lovelace, and so on. And the first one is Wei Dai, who was basically the person that I think first of all created the concept of modern cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin's predecessor, B-Money, he was the guy responsible for that. So if I take that off the screen and go back to where we were. So yeah, you can see all of the gas fees there. The other thing you've got, if you scroll down a little bit, is you can see where a lot of the fees and the costs of the gas are going. So the gas guzzlers, the top 50, a few in there would be the ones you'd expect really. So Uniswap, which is the most popular DeFi exchange, is a massive gas guzzler. And you can see all the way down OpenSea, the built-in swap in MetaMask. So all of these are the ones that take the most gas. You can go into things like gas spenders and historical gas prices as well, but we won't go into that. So if I move back one, so that's all the information you've got on that page. There are a few other things you've got in there that will be of interest. You've got the latest transactions that have happened on the Ethereum network. You've also got on the left-hand side here the blocks that are mined. So all the transactions that you put through for Ethereum would go into a block that was mined. So they'll all be loaded up into this block, and whoever won the race to mine that block, those transactions would go through. So if we take a look down the side, and we'll pick, let's pick an Ether mine block actually. So there's a few bits of information on here that are quite useful. So you can see when it was mined, first of all. You can see how many transactions were actually included in that block as well. So you can see there were 204 normal transactions, which might be transfers or whatever, and then 55 contracts transactions, and these are when a smart contract call has been made. So we'll click on that first, actually, just to illustrate that. So you'd expect stuff like OpenSea, you can see Axie Infinity on there, Uniswap will always be a big one, but these are all the transactions where the smart contracts have taken place, and you can see that under type. So it's a contract call. You've also then got the standard transactions. So if I bring that up, what you've got on there is transactions that might be for transferring from wallet to a wallet, transferring, if we have a look at this first one, so it would go from this wallet to this wallet. And what you've got on there is a couple of things. You've got the value of that transaction, and then you've got the fee for that transaction, going back to the fees that we were looking at a little bit earlier. Now, there's a couple of other things that you can see on here. So if I go back one, so you can see the so who's mined it, which is Ether mine, and you'll find most of the ones that get mined when you look down it tend to be the big mining pools, which use multiple computing powers to mine blocks. So rather than just being one person sitting in their bedroom mining, this will be multiple people putting hash power together to mine a block. So going back to it, what you've got here is who's mined it. You've also got the block reward. Now, the standard block reward for mining a block is 2 Ethereum, which you can see there. And then the next bit is all of the transaction fees that are linked to that block being mined, and that's the overall block reward that's for that mining pool. And then what will happen with the mining pool is those fees, because you've got multiple people in that pool, they get distributed amongst those miners depending on their contribution. So so if you join a mining pool, and I'll show you again in a second how that works, you'd get a share of that transaction. So as we go further down, you've got the amount of gas that was used to mine this block and the limit of that. You've got some additional information which we won't go into, just around the different hashes, linking to things like the difficulty. And then if you're looking on the left-hand side, all the question marks actually tell you, if you're looking at each individual section, what they actually mean. So if there's something you're not quite sure of, it's all shown up in there. Okay, so if we take a step.
You don't happen to know, Simon, just while you're on that page there, miner F2 pool old. Is that, do you have any idea, is this anything got to do with F2 pool moving their mining? Are they part of the Chinese mining group that are migrating?
Quite possibly, and there's a thing that will show you where the mining pools are based as well, which I'll show you in a second, actually.
Yeah, I wonder if they relabeled that because they have a new one being set up with their new locations. No, that was just slightly sidetracked one.
Yeah,
sorry.
And there's a lot of, I mean, the thing is, you'll see most of these are pools, and you've got some really huge pools on there. So Ethermine is one of the biggest ones on there. So what we will do, actually, before we go into some of the resources, which will be quite interesting, we'll actually go back to CoinGecko and pick a token to look at. So as I said, you've got all of your top tokens on here, and I can't for the life of me remember how many are actually shown on CoinGecko. But if we go down, we'll pick an Ethereum token called Synthetics, which is number 75 on here. So CoinGecko is really useful because what you can do on there is see a lot of the highlight information that you normally want to know about a token. So if you scroll down, you've got things like the website, you've got the different explorers. So if I clicked that, which I won't do at the moment, that will take you directly to Synthetics Ethereum Etherscan page. You've also got the contract address. So the reason this is quite important is if you've got a wallet like MetaMask, it won't by default have all of these smart contract coins in there. So what you need to do is actually add a coin. And what this gives you is the contract address for that particular token that you can then add into MetaMask. If you aren't aware of MetaMask, I think, Paulie, you did a session on that. Was it 2 meetups ago?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 meetups ago. There is a recording on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll tell you all about MetaMask. You've also got on there, which we'll come on to a little bit later, the different blockchains that you have these tokens transferable to as well. So a lot of people have probably heard about layer 2 solutions for Ethereum. Polygon's probably the biggest one, which is Matic Network, now known as Polygone. And it actually gives you the contract addresses if you're using those networks to transact, that you can put the contract address in to add them to your wallet for that network. So that is that. So the other thing about CoinGecko is as you scroll down, you can see a lot of information on that particular token. So market cap of it, you've got a lot of price data, and you can actually go right the way back with the price data to certain points and see how that token's performed. If you scroll down further, you've also got the different exchanges that you can trade that token on as well. So and then information about the token. Now, some of the smaller tokens won't necessarily have this information. And there's one other thing that I thought I'd show you that might be quite useful. So if you wanted to invest, say, $1,000 purchasing synthetics tokens, that's how many it would buy you. So it's just got a little conversion tool. Oh, yeah, that should actually say SNX, but that's how many tokens it'll actually buy you. So we said we look at synthetics. So the other thing you can do on Etherscan is actually search for the token. So I know the ticker of that token, which is SNX. Now, the interesting thing about this is that is the actual correct token. What you need to be careful of is that people can create tokens really, really easy. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to create your own token. So I think if I scroll down on here, you can see someone else has created other tokens. So there are also ones that go into different networks or different lenders, which are fine, but there are people that have created their own token with a different contract address. So that could be someone that's trying to scam you. So it's always worth checking to make sure you've got the right contract address. So in this case, it ends 2A6F. If we go back to here, you can see on the contract address here, 2A6F. And you can actually copy that and paste it here to find the correct token. Okay, so we know that's the correct one though, so we'll go into that. Okay. So this is synthetics token. And what you've got on here, this is an ERC20 standard Ethereum token. Now you will also see ERC721, and they're non-fungible tokens, and that will be things like if you have pieces of art or something like that that you might have purchased on a site like OpenSea, that will show up slightly differently. And again, we'll look at a wallet which will illustrate that in a moment. So what you've got on here is the contract address, the website, and again, these are the bits you'd add into MetaMask if you were trying to add to your wallet. You've got the market cap of the token, so that's the circulating supply, maximum supply, holders, which we'll click on in a moment, and then you've got transactions that have taken place with synthetics tokens. Now, I won't click on this actually, I'll do it at the bottom. What you've got down here is a lot of information that will give you some more insight into, if we start with the first one, who holds synthetics tokens. Now this is quite interesting because what you can see, if you're looking at a token, especially a smaller one, if you've got the majority share of it held by one individual, there's a very, very high risk with that because they can control the price up or down and manipulate very easily. And I guess one of the tokens that's happened with a lot, probably more recently, is Dogecoin. So there's a very small number of people that hold over 65%. I think there's 12 people hold over 65% of those tokens. Sorry, I say people, wallets that hold it. So it's very easy for the price to be manipulated. So with this, you've got your standard stuff on there. So this might be the team that hold it for rewards for various things. You've then got things like Binance, you can see on there. So they hold it for over-the-counter OTC trades. So you've got all the holders on there shown as well. And you can also click on the token holders chart. And that gives you a breakdown of all the different wallet addresses or people that hold that token. So as I said, with the big tokens, that's not necessarily so much of an issue. It's when you start getting to quite small ones, it makes a difference. So we've already covered some of this. This is information about when it was launched and so on. You can see exchanges it's on. DEX trades, so that's decentralized exchanges. So these are the transactions that have been done on decentralized exchanges. You have the contract. Now the contract, if you know what you're doing, you can actually manually interact with a smart contract, but again, I won't cover that off here because that gets quite in depth. But a lot of the things that you might do on a site is basically a front end where you key it into the site and it actually does all of this in the background for you. So it'll actually do those kind of techie bits to make transactions happen. Okay, so that is synthetics token. Now, if you're really into your charts and stats, there is an option on here called resources. And this is quite interesting if you're a bit of a geek like me. What you can do is literally get virtually any statistical chart you might be interested in and just go a bit more in depth with it. So you can see some of the ones on here, and I'll scroll down a bit further just to something Paula said earlier. So you've got supply and market cap, average block mining time, gas limits, and so on. Network data. So here you've got the top 25 miners by blocks. So you can see for that, what we were talking about earlier is the different pools that we've got that are mining. So with Ether Mine is the biggest one, which I think is the one we started off with. Spark Pool you would have seen on that first page. And then as Paula said, F2 Pool Old is on there as well. So you can see the different shares of the actual blocks being mined that these guys are taking. And it's got it all down the side in percentages.
I need to send an email to Etherscan and tell them not to be using 3D pie charts. I've just written a whole course on data visualization. And it's top of my mind at the moment.
Fair enough. The other thing that's interesting, just talking about where these are being mined, is if you click on the node tracker, you can actually see which countries are doing the most mining. Again, you've got all sorts of information on here, but you can hover over each country as well. So you can see on there, if you look at the States, dwarfing everyone else, you can see just under 3,000. If you go to Ireland, 74, UK, 230. So you've got various different, I think Iceland, I believe, has 2. But all of those you can take a look at, and you've got all the detail of it up here as well. So you can see Germany in Europe is actually quite a big holder of the nodes. So it's quite interesting to see which countries are actually doing this. Okay, so if we go back, So as I said, there's pretty much everything you might want to know on there. There was another thing I was going to look at. So I'll go into this block as well. Now, the interesting thing about these blocks is these show where you've got to in terms of the number of blocks being mined. Now, what you can do is go up to the address bar, and you can actually change that to block 1. And that'll take you back to the first block for Ethereum that was ever mined. So you can see when that was done. It's not really much because obviously this was really, really early days. So the first block being mined didn't really have much in. You can also, if you click left.
It was an empty block. There was 0 transactions in it.
So I don't know if there's anything in the comments actually, because I've not. Yeah, there you go. You've got comments on there if you were interested. You can also go left, and that will show you the original Genesis block, which is the block that this all originated from. So if you're looking at a bit of history, that's might be of interest. So that's the main part of Etherscan. Now there are a few other things you can do with Etherscan that are quite handy. So if I click on something I picked up earlier, so I just went into one of the pools that were mined earlier, and I actually picked up an address from it. So no idea whose address this is. It's just a random address that I found. And tapped it in here. So if you know the address of a wallet, you can enter it up here because it says on there what you can enter. And this is actually somebody in the world's wallet. And what you can see from there is it's got 103 Ethereum and $103 worth of Ethereum in it. And that's just pure Ethereum. And then it's got $11,251 worth of tokens in it. So they are ERC20 tokens based on Ethereum. So if I click the little drop down there, what you can see are all the different tokens that this wallet holds and how much is actually in them. So if we go down there, you can see a lot of Polka Starter. You've got quite a lot of random coins actually that I've not heard of before, but Pokemon you might have heard of. So you've literally got a load of them. Then at the bottom, these are the ERC721 tokens, which are your NFTs. So if you look at YOP on there, actually we can see with that, YOP and DRCT, which I think I spotted, yeah, DRCT there. So if we just click into that transaction, you can actually see how this transaction was made up. And again, I'm not going to go into massive detail about it. The main thing you'll need to know is the tokens transferred. It was done through Uniswap. There were 0.15 Ethereum swapped for 29,654 DRCT tokens. So you can see the route that it took through Uniswap was it was converted from wrapped ETH into the DRCT tokens. Now, what you'll sometimes see on here is sometimes it's cheaper to convert it through multiple tokens to get to the end token that you want. So sometimes you'll see that it might have gone through USDC, then onto ETH, then onto the token, or various other ways of doing it. You can see the cost of the transaction as well, and the overall value of the transaction and what the gas price was when this was done. And there is more information down there, but again, most of this isn't stuff that you'd really need to know. Okay, so that was that, and so that was just over 29,500 DRCT tokens. So if we click the drop down, that should actually match what was in here, because I think that was the only transaction they did. So yeah, you can see those direct tokens matches that volume. So he's only just, or she has only just bought that token today or a day ago on Uniswap. So that is, if I get rid of a few bits off here, so that is that wallet. The other thing you can do is you can actually look at if you log in and you've actually got an account which is free with Etherscan, you can actually do a watch list. So I'll go into the watch list now, and this is really, really interesting and really useful actually. So what you can do is add an address if you know a particular address that you want to track. So the address that I put in to use earlier, what you would do is you put the address in from here, and this could be your own wallet address, because unless someone's given you their own wallet address, you're unlikely to know anyone else's. So this could be your own wallet. You put a description of what it is, and you can get notified whenever there are transactions that happen in that wallet. And the reason that's useful is for a couple of reasons. The first thing is if you've done a transaction that doesn't complete immediately, so say the network's quite congested, you'll actually get a notification when that transaction has gone through by email. So that will tell you that that's gone through. It also could be if you are a particular stickler for security. I don't know if anyone's seen the Shield Folio Stone books. Is anyone aware of those? They're basically books that you would keep your private keys in, and it's got an invisible ink pen that you would write the codes down in, which is all fine. But if people find a book that's got nothing in, they might kind of crack on to the fact it's got invisible ink or something. So one of the secure ways you use that is you'd actually write in real pen over the transaction. And what that will do is that will show a wallet address. So what you might do is set up your own wallet address with a nominal amount of tokens in as a security measure. If someone gets hold of your private keys or that book with your private keys in, the first thing they'll do is find the first address that's written in there, go to it and try and clean that account out. Now, the good thing about having it on Etherscan and having that address linked is you'll get a notification that that safety wallet you've got has had tokens drained from it. So you'll immediately know that you've been compromised. So you can then go about sorting all your other cryptos and moving them somewhere secure.
That's a really good idea.
It's a handy thing. I mean, it's like a first defense mechanism, because people will look at that address on the wallet and they'll immediately think that's your main private key. So once you've set it up, a couple of things you could do with it. So you'll get notifications whenever someone's transacted on there. But with this random wallet, so if this person did a transaction and sold those coins that we were just looking at, you would get notified that those coins have come out of that wallet. So if you do happen to find a friend's wallet and you wanted to be really nosy, because it is a public blockchain, you could actually see whatever transactions your friend has done in their wallet, and it'll all show up in here, and you can get notified whenever they do a transaction. I don't know how they feel about that, but it is something you can do. But it's very good to keep track of wallets. You can also, if you do a bit of hunting, a lot of the crypto influencers, you can find addresses for their wallets, and people have used this in the past just to see people like Chico Crypto or that Martini guy or something like that, just to see what transactions they've actually done in their wallet, and you get notified as soon as that's happened. It might be a good indicator of what they're buying at that time. Not financial advice though, so what I would definitely not say to do is, if you do find one of those wallets and they buy a load of a certain token, don't just jump in and buy it without researching it. That is, there are loads and loads of other things you can do with Etherscan, but that's probably the vast majority of the stuff that will be useful to you. So the other thing I thought I'd do just with that is, we talked about gas prices a little bit earlier. There's a couple of tools that you might find quite useful in terms of your gas prices and when to transact. So one of them is the ethereumprice.org gas tracker. So what this does is it actually tells you the best times to actually do an Ethereum transaction. So you can see on here there are certain peaks and troughs. There's a massive spike there of when gas prices went up. So at one point, yeah, that was up at 268 GUI for a transaction. But this just gives you an idea of when the transactions have been expensive or cheap, and you can see, my mouse is playing up here, you can see earlier in the day it was 6 GUI, now you're looking at about 19 GUI. if you scroll down, you've also got the different times of day that it's better to transact. So again, at the moment, because the gas fees are quite cheap, this isn't so much of a game changer. But I know in the past, when I've been using this, I've looked and there have been gas fees ridiculously high. And I've looked at it and I thought, okay, this transaction, do I need to do it now? Or could I wait until, say, I don't know, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning to do it? And the gas price 8 o'clock tomorrow morning would be 7 gui, as opposed to if I did it at 8 o'clock at night, 124 gui. So you can see this is quite useful. It just gives you a rough idea of the different times it's worth doing transactions. And you'll tend to find some of these will relate to things like when America wakes up, for example. So you'll tend to find if you're in the UK, it's normally around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30 to 2 o'clock, all of a sudden the States start doing transactions. So the network gets more congested, difficulty goes up, and as a result, the price of transactions goes up. You've also got Asia, which is around 3 o'clock in the morning UK time. And the interesting thing about that is if you're looking at shifts in price, you'll tend to find if you're going to get a big dump or a big pump or something like that, that could happen at the open of a market. So the Asian market at 3 a.m, you might find that that's happened, or the opening of the US market, you might find that's happened. So it's just one of those things to keep an eye out for. Now, the last couple of things, because we've covered off absolutely loads, is not everyone uses the Ethereum blockchain. So there are a couple of other blockchains. So you might be aware of Binance Smart Chain. Now, Binance Smart Chain has really, really taken off, mainly because if you look at the cost of the fees for doing a transaction on Binance Smart Chain, it's ridiculously low compared to what Ethereum used to be. Now, the price differential is a lot less now, but it's massively, massively come down. When you were looking at $100 a transaction a few months ago, you could do a transaction on the Binance Smart Chain for less than $1. So it kind of gives you a fair idea of why this has become so popular. I won't go through this because it more or less works in the same way, and all of the different things on here will be very, very similar, blocks, miners, and so on. All of those will be very similar to what you would have seen on Etherscan. And there's also the Matic network or Polygon network, and you've got a similar thing called Polygon Scan on there. So again, the reason this has jumped into popularity is it's a layer 2 solution, so the fees, you will pay less than a cent to do a fee on Polygon. So again, if you're comparing it even to current Ethereum fees, it's so much cheaper to do it on Polygon. A little bit more complex to set yourself up on it, but again, you can find plenty of tutorials for that on the internet, and it's it does make a big difference. And the final thing that I thought might be useful, and this just relates to exchanges rather than the Etherscan and Binance Scan and so on, is if you have money on an exchange rather than in a wallet, you might find that some of the exchanges where you purchase coins or tokens to get into crypto in the first place, if you're going to withdraw them to your own wallet, because if you build up a lot of crypto, you don't tend to want to keep it on an exchange, because there is a possibility of an exchange being hacked or an exchange going down or potentially even going out of business, which did happen a few years ago once. But this site called withdrawalfees.com, this tells you the withdrawal fees for different cryptos on different exchanges. So we'll take a look at Ethereum just because that's what we've been looking at. And all it will give you is the different exchanges it's on and the different cost of making withdrawal. And the reason I thought this was important is if you look at the lower fees, so you can see Gemini Exchange on there's $2.11 or 0.001 Ethereum. When you look at someone like Binance, that goes up to $7.58. And you can see as you go down, some of them get ridiculous price-wise. And the idea of that, in my mind, is they want to keep your coins on the exchange so they can do transacting with them without having to purchase new coins in. Bitcoin, I think, is quite a big differential as well. So if we go down to Binance on Bitcoin, So you can see if you're withdrawing Bitcoin from Binance, because they want to keep hold of it, they're going to charge you $19 to do that. Whereas the cheapest, I'd probably ignore fixed float, but the cheapest ones like Kraken, it's only $5. So I've covered pretty much everything off, and I think probably made quite good time on it as well. So I'll stop sharing now. I hope that was useful.
That was really good, Simon. Thank you very much. Has anybody got any questions? We'll just open the floor up for any questions. We have a hand up. John, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I was just wondering, you kind of started talking about if you're buying like Polygon off of an exchange and then you withdraw it. Like I had a moment where I was pretty scared because I withdrew it to what I thought was my Matic wallet, but it put it on the Ethereum blockchain. So I'm trying to make sure I'm getting the terms right, but I have to bridge that to be able to put it in my Matic wallet so that I could put it. Is it pretty simple, that process of getting it from MetaMask, exchanging it onto the Polygon?
So John, just because I know that you're on Polyeld, yeah, if you go to the exchange section on Polyeld, okay, there is a swap tab that can be used to bridge from the main net to the layer 2.
Okay. And in like regards to like the gas fees and stuff, is that pretty reasonable for when you're doing the exchange on that platform?
Yes, when you're doing things on Matic, it's costing you like not even a cent for a transaction. Like it doesn't even come up as a cent. It's that much of a small fraction on Matic. But there are some gas fees in transferring the Matic over from the main net, yeah. But I'm not sure how high they are. But as Simon showed there, they're actually quite low. And if you pick the lowest one for a slow transaction, you know, if somebody's, you know, not waiting on it in a hurry, it'll take 20 minutes for the transaction to happen, but it's cost you less.
Okay, thank you.
Has anyone else got any questions there? No. Excellent. Well, well done, Simon.
Got away with that, didn't I?
That was really good. What I found interesting, because I'm a little bit of a data geek, I had mentioned about FPool and moving to China, and then when you went in, there was none in China. Anyway, there was Germany, and I was trying to picture, and I have a feeling there's a couple of German influencers that would be fairly big into that sort of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I was just my own little mind playing while you were doing that. That was really, really good. Thank you very much, Simon.
Thanks, Simon.
Yeah.
The gas price by time is very interesting as well. I was never aware of that myself. That chart, it's excellent.
Very good, very good. Right, well, what we're going to do now is, because it is 10 to 9, folks, and we are running out of time. So before we do Coin of the Month, I'm going to talk about our new contest. And our new contest has come from a suggestion from you in the group, and that is to be guessing the future price of Bitcoin. Now, we're not going to make this easy for you. We're going to make it a little bit more tricky. So what we're going to do is I'm going to send out a form in the Telegram group during the week, and then I'll have it ready for the meetups group as well next Friday, okay? But next Saturday will be the deadline for entries. So what you're going to do is guess the price of Bitcoin for the month end, so the last day of every month for the rest of 2021. Now, based on these guesses, we're going to create a leaderboard. So you'd be scored based on how far away from the real price you are. And these scores will be aggregated together each month, and we will have an aggregated winner at the end. So that's going to be our new contest. So you can get your thinking caps on about that one. I think Don already thinks he has this one in the bag because he's sharing speculative charts in the in the Telegram group here while we've been chatting. So I think he thinks he has this one in the bag. So we're going to have to show him up on this one. So now we're going to say that again.
It's a work in progress.
Well, you haven't got long to progress because next week will be the deadline for the entry in this contest. So you'll have to get your predictions right by then, Don. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So I am. And din, din, din. Okay, so we want a drum roll, please. Din, 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 din. And the winner of our Coin of the Month contest is David Cahill selecting Tether and Binance USD. Coming in second is Quinn picking Cardano and Ether. And coming in third is Robert selecting Cardano and Tezo. So well done on the top three. Now, there was a query about whether David could win the prize or not because he's co-host. And we got put under a little bit of pressure in the community. And I think because it is absolutely genius, the coins that he selected, we have to go ahead and we have to award him a prize. So the prizes are going to be awarded as follows. David is going to get $50 in a stable coin in USD. Quinn is going to get $40 in USD. And Jay, for coming last, we have a bogey prize. Simone is no longer with us and yet to be here to collect the prize. So for coming last, we have Jay with a bogey
Nice one, yeah.
prize.
I was winning at one stage, for fuck's sake.
On the first week you were winning, and now you're
yeah.
getting the bogey loosey prize.
Nice one, yeah.
So if the three of you want to send me on a message with your wallet addresses, an ERC20 wallet, or no, whatever wallet you want actually, because it's not Tether, it's going to be USDC. So anywhere you can accept USDC, send me on your wallet addresses and I'll send that to you out in the next couple of days.
With pleasure.
Have you seen the message in the chat?
Hold on till I just
From
go
Harley.
Oh, where is she? Oh, where is my chat gone? What's she saying? Sorry you couldn't join the video.
Sorry,
Oh, well, Harley.
What? David, I thought you were definitely gonna win the whole thing, honestly.
He did win, but you have come second, Quinn. And we do have a prize
Well
for
done.
second place. So you're going to send me on some wallet details and I will send you on your second place prize. So a wallet that will accept USDC.
Okay.
Okay. And I will send you on some prizes. So that's David, Quinn and Jay. So congratulations. We'll get some certificates out to you as well for
Nice
Coin
one, yeah.
of the Month Challenge.
Thanks.
So
Paula.
that's really it. Unless anybody has any questions or anything that they'd like to ask or jump in with. Simon, did you want to say something there?
Just a very, very quick one. Can I share screen? Just
You
very
can indeed,
quickly?
yes.
It's only a quick one, this. Okay, there we go. So we were saying about the guessing the Bitcoin price. If you look on CoinMarketCap and go to, so that's the homepage, go to Bitcoin. And then what you'll see on the right-hand side is price estimates. So if you are making a prediction as part of our competition, you can actually enter a competition on CoinMarketCap as well. So take a look at that, but it's just under the price estimate section.
Excellent.
Oh,
Nice one
so
for
do you know what I might do then? I might aggregate all the prices together and submit an entry for the group.
Mm.
Yeah.
And an average of all the prices, and I'll submit an entry to CoinMarketCap for the group, and everybody else can enter their own as well. So it's two for the price of one, even though it's costing you nothing. So there will be some prizes for that as well, but they won't be till the year end because it's going to be a leaderboard that's going to take us right up to the year end. So start looking at your Bitcoin charts and figuring out where you think they're going to go. And, you know, we're predicting to the end of the year. So we could have multiple phases between now and the end of the year, multiple ups and multiple downs. It's never a smooth ride in the crypto circle. So if that's it from everybody, does anybody have anything else they'd like to jump in with or share or ask? No. Good stuff then. All right, well then everybody, until next week, congratulations to the winners, and I will see you all next week. Bye now.
There you go.
Thank
you, bye.
Thank you. Good job.
Bye, Paula.
Bye.
Bye.